Before looking at the efficient cause analysis in the OM software, let's first get acquainted with the study that produced the data that we're going to analyze. Now, as you can see, this study was published in 2012 by Shota, Wilson, and colleagues, and they asked participants to rate their daily stress on approximately 50 consecutive days using a 0 to 10 scale, 0 indicating no stress, 10 indicating a high amount of stress. Now, they also, on those same approximately 50 days, rated various feelings and fears. So you can see here feeling anxious, feeling incompetent, feeling exhausted, etc. Again, using a 0 to 10 scale. Now, their primary question in this research was, are there individual triggers for stress? So for one participant, you might find that feeling nervous is a trigger for stress. For another participant, it might be feeling uncertain. Another participant, it may be feeling helpless, and so on. So are there individual triggers for stress? And again, we have stress ratings for 50 consecutive days approximately, and then we also have these feeling and fear ratings, again, for the same approximately 50 days. So now let's switch over to the OM software and see how we would analyze these data therein. So here we are in the software. Notice that I have data open for participant number 9 and then also participant number 5 from the study. Let's quickly orient ourselves to how I have these data set up for this particular study. So notice down the side, the rows, I have the various feelings and fears that were rated by this individual. And then across the top, we have the different daily ratings of those feelings or fears. So FD1 is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so forth. And if I scroll over for this individual, I see that there are 53 days worth of ratings. Now, next to that, I have the SD1, SD2, SD3. So these are the daily stress ratings. Now, remember, in this study, the individuals rated their stress just once. And then they also rated all of these different feelings and fears for every particular day. So again, if I look at the stress here and I scroll over, I will find 53 days worth of stress ratings as well. So what I need to do is compare, let me scroll this back over just a little bit here. I need to compare these daily stress ratings to each of these feelings and fears that were also rated every day. So what I need to do for this particular data set, I need to copy these stress ratings. So I'm going to block them, and then I'm going to Control-C for copy, and then I'm going to go back over here and paste them. So notice all I'm doing is just pasting, duplicating those daily stress ratings, and this will allow me to compare these daily stress ratings to each of the different feelings and fears across the 53 days. This will become a little more apparent as I get to, or when I get to the efficient cause analysis. Okay, let's quickly take a look at participant number 5 and also notice there the same kind of setup. And for this individual, though, we have 63 daily ratings, or 63 days worth of ratings. Again, 63 days there for the stress ratings as well. And you can see that those have been duplicated just like for participant number 9. So let's run the analysis and take a look at how these results appear for this participant. So let's select Analyses, Efficient Cause Analysis, and Paired Orderings. We can sort the orderings here by using this button. We can sort them alphabetically or sort them as they appear in the Data Edit window. We can use this filter to find particular orderings or filter out other orderings that we're not interested in. I'm going to use that in just a second here. What we need to do is move over our efficient cause orderings, and then we need to move over the effect orderings. So I'm going to use this filter here to just find or filter out anything that doesn't have an FD in it. So now I can see I only have FD orderings here, so I'm going to scroll down, copy all those or collect them all, and then move them over. So the feelings are considered to be the causes, potential causes of the stress. So now I'm going to filter out everything else except SD, and then I will move the SD, the stresses, over as the effect. So now I have it set up. I'm going to select a few options here, and in other videos I will go over each of these options. So I'm going to select numbers, ordinal here, and adjacent only, and I'm going to turn on the randomization test, and I am going to select the individual results. But while we're here, before I run the analysis, let's examine these patterns, and this will help us understand exactly what's going to happen here. So I'll select that button, and I've already turned off the grid here, and then I can magnify this a bit. And so now let's take a look at the different feelings and fears. So I'm going to use this pull down menu, and let's take a look at the first feeling here, which is anxiety. And now we see the data plotted across the 53 days. So notice here's the 0 to 10 scale, and then here are the feelings across the top. Now the cause is the red line, the feelings, and the effect is the blue line. So notice the blue goes with the bottom here, the stress, and then the scaling is the same, 0 to 10. So what we're going to do here is just look at the data. The red line is the cause, the blue is the effect, and do the two patterns match? It's kind of like an old-fashioned profile analysis in personality psychology. Do these two patterns match in terms of their increases and decreases across the 53 days? And we can see here with the eyeball test, they match up fairly well. Now we get a PCC to go along with that. That's your percent correct classifications index. That ranges from 0 to 100. 100 would indicate a perfect match between the two patterns in terms of their relative changes over the 53 days. Here at 70% seems like a reasonably high number, especially for 53 days worth of ratings. We also get a chance value, and here it's less than 0.0001. That indicates if we just randomly shuffle the data, it's difficult to find a PCC of 70% or higher. So that suggests that it's plausible to posit some sort of causal relationship here, or cause and effect relationship between the anxiety and the stress. And again, it passes the eyeball test here fairly well. So now let's take a look at the next feeling. Here it's feeling incompetent. So here we see that the patterns do not match nearly as well as it did for feeling anxious. So it doesn't pass the eye test, again, nearly as well as the anxiety ratings compared to the stress ratings did. We see also that she did not feel incompetent on many days. We see the 0 ratings here. Now we still get our PCC. Here it's down to 42%. Not very impressive. The chance value is still kind of low, but 0.10, but our PCC is not very high here. And the eye test suggests that we just move on and not posit a causal relationship here between the two sets of orderings. So we can move on to feeling exhausted, and that doesn't pass the eye test very well either. The PCC again is 42%, and we can use this double-headed arrow also just to scroll through and quickly examine each of these patterns. So far, looking at the patterns, it looks like anxiety is the best candidate for a trigger. So I'm going to select close here, and I'm going to select OK to just run the analysis. Now it iterates through to run the randomization test, and then I'm going to start at the bottom here where we get the individual results. So notice here is the feeling anxious, and there is that 70% PCC with the low chance value. And so we can quickly look through these and find the optimal triggers for this particular individual. And it looks like anxiety is the best potential cause for stress for this individual. The next highest value here I see is 64% for feeling rushed, and the chance value is low there as well. And again, I would go back and take a look at that pattern too to make sure it passes the eye test. So here we're really focused on the individual and trying to find the triggers of stress for this participant. Now let's quickly go and run the analysis for participant number 5. So here's participant number 5. We can select analyses, efficient cause analysis, pair the orderings. Again, it's already filtered for the SD, so I'll go ahead and just get those over as the effect. And now we have 63, and get the feelings moved over. And let's select the same options that we had a few moments ago and select OK. And it will iterate through. And we'll look at the individual results again and take a look here. 62.5% for feeling discouraged, 66% for feeling overwhelmed, 69% for feeling frustrated, and the C-value is low there, and that looks like the best candidate, and several others as well. So let's go and take a look at feeling frustrated for this individual. So I'll go back to the analysis here, and we will look for feeling frustrated here. And let me magnify this a bit so we can see it. And you can see the blue line is overall higher than the red line, but in terms of the relative changes, they match up fairly nicely. There's that PCC of 69.64% and the low chance value. So this pattern as well passes the, I should say, eye test. So this is how we would analyze these data across all of the participants to find the individual triggers of stress.